I am Emily Carter, whose name has been changed. I live in a rather old residential area in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio. This is a quiet area, with old houses and tree-lined streets. However, there is one street that I never feel comfortable walking down, especially at dusk or at night. That is Elm Street, a small street, with little traffic, where old houses sit close together. On this Elm Street, there is one house that particularly catches my attention, and not in a good way. It is an old house, looking very dilapidated and abandoned for a long time. The paint on the walls has peeled off. The windows are broken or boarded up, and the front yard is overgrown with weeds and tangled vines. The house looks gloomy and terrifying, as if it is slowly dying. The people in the neighborhood don't talk much about this house, but there are rumors that it is haunted, that bad things have happened there in the past. Although no one says it directly, everyone avoids that house, and Elm Street is usually very deserted. I often have to walk down this Elm Street to get home after work or after going out. Every time I pass by, I feel a strange unease creeping into me. The air there seems colder than on other streets, and there is an eerie silence. Only the faint sound of the wind whistling through the broken window panes. I always try to walk very fast when going down Elm Street, not daring to look directly at that abandoned house. I only glance at it, and always feel as if someone is watching me from inside those dark windows. Darkness on Elm Street seems thicker than in other places. I don't know the history of that house, or why it was abandoned, but I know that something is wrong there, and my unease is not unfounded. The deserted street and the old house have become a scary part of my route home. And one night, that unease became a reality. The unease when walking past the abandoned house on Elm Street always haunted me. I always felt as if someone was watching me from inside those dark windows. One night, it was a cold autumn night. I was walking home later than usual. Around 9 p.m., Elm Street was deserted, with only the faint yellow streetlights shining down, creating strange shadows. As I walked past the abandoned house, I didn't look directly at it as usual, only glancing at it from the corner of my eye. And then, I saw, in one of the upstairs windows, a window that wasn't boarded up. In the darkness of the empty room, there was something. A figure. A black figure. It stood still there, in the darkness of the room, looking out the window. The figure looked like the shape of a person, wearing dark clothes, or simply a dense mass of darkness, darker than the surrounding darkness. My heart suddenly pounded. I froze for a moment. And then, I saw eyes, 2 points of bright red light, like embers, glowing in the darkness of the face, or where the face should have been, of the black figure. Red eyes. Those eyes were looking straight out the window, looking straight at me, a terrifying gaze, full of hatred, full of evil. I had never felt so scared in my life. My whole body trembled uncontrollably. I was fixated on those red eyes, unable to look away. It felt as if my soul was being sucked into them. Figure in black with red eyes. It stood still there, not moving, just staring at me. I knew it wasn't a normal person. It was something else, a spirit, an entity, and it was evil. After a moment of being frozen in fear, a strong survival instinct surged within me. Run! I turned around and started running. Running as fast as I could. Without thinking, just running. I ran down Elm Street, rushing into the darkness of the night. The sound of my shoes hitting the pavement echoed in the eerie silence. I didn't dare turn my head to look. I was afraid that if I turned around, I would see the figure in black with red eyes standing at the window. Or worse, standing right outside the door, watching me. I ran until my lungs burned. My legs ached. I ran until I was off Elm Street. Ran until I reached an area with more houses, with brighter lights. I stopped, gasping for breath, leaning against a wall, trembling all over. I looked back. Elm Street was shrouded in darkness. The abandoned house was gloomy and terrifying. I didn't see anything, but I knew what I had seen was real. Red eyes from the dark window. That terrifying gaze would forever haunt me. And I knew that my life would never be the same again. After the horrifying night, I saw the spirit in black with red eyes in the haunted house on Elm Street. My life was completely turned upside down. That fear wasn't limited to the deserted street and the old house. It had followed me home. The first few nights after the incident, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those bright red eyes staring at me from the darkness. The feeling was so real, as if he was right there in my room. I started feeling constantly watched, even when I was alone in my own familiar house. When I was alone in my room, I always had the feeling that someone was standing behind me, staring at me. Sometimes, I would suddenly feel a cold draft radiate in the room, much colder than the normal temperature. That cold was very different, very deep, as if it penetrated my bones. Strange noises began to appear in the house, especially at night. Faint footsteps walking around on the floor upstairs when no one was there. Doors automatically opening and then slamming shut. Objects being subtly moved. I knew those sounds weren't just the old house creaking, or the wind. There was something else in the house. The ghost followed me home. The spirit in black with red eyes had seen me. And now, he was clinging to me. I felt as if I was being hunted. I didn't dare to turn off the lights when I slept anymore. I always left a small light on in the room. But even in the dim light, I still felt as if those red eyes were looking at me from somewhere in the corner of the room. I tried to ignore those strange phenomena, telling myself that it was just because I was too scared and imagining things. But they were too real, too terrifying to ignore. The haunting clung to me everywhere I went. When I went out, I always felt as if someone was following me from behind. When I walked past dark windows, I would see my own reflection and feel as if a black shadow was standing behind me. I didn't dare to walk down Elm Street anymore. I had changed my route home, going a little further to avoid that haunted house. But that didn't help either. The ghost in that house had seen me, and it had found a way to cling to me. My life became a never-ending nightmare. I lived in constant fear, never feeling safe. The haunting clung to me like a shadow. And I knew that as long as the spirit in black with red eyes existed, I would never have peace. The haunting by the spirit in black with red eyes grew more intense. Especially at night, I lived in utter fear. And that severely affected my sleep. Every night, as I tried to fall asleep, the feeling of being watched was stronger than ever. I lay in bed, eyes wide open in the darkness, listening to the strange noises in the house. Footsteps on the floor upstairs, doors subtly moving, faint groaning from somewhere in the darkness. And then, the nightmares began to torment me. In my dreams, I found myself in the haunted house on Elm Street. The house was dark, dilapidated. I walked through the empty rooms, full of dust and cobwebs. The air was cold and stifling. Then, I heard a sound. Footsteps. The footsteps were faster, heavier than the footsteps I heard at home. It was coming towards me. I tried to run away in the dream, but my legs felt rooted to the spot. And then, I saw him, the spirit in black with red eyes. He stood at the end of the dark hallway, looking straight at me, His bright red eyes glowed in the darkness, more terrifying than anything I had ever seen. He started coming closer, not walking, but gliding across the floor. Like a ghost, I screamed in the dream, but no sound came out. I tried to run away, but I couldn't move. He came closer, closer still. I could see his red eyes more clearly, the emptiness and evil hidden within them. Then, he stood right in front of me. His red eyes looked straight into mine. I woke up in utter panic, gasping for breath, trembling all over, covered in cold sweat. It was just a dream, but it was too real. The nightmares repeated constantly, night after night, always the haunted house, always the spirit in black with red eyes, always the hunting and the fear. The haunting wasn't just limited to dreams. Sometimes, when I was at home, even during the day, I would suddenly see shadows flit across the edge of my vision. Black shadows, flitting quickly, then disappearing, or I would see a flash of red light in the corner of the room. Just for an instant, then it would be gone. I knew he was here. He was in my house. The nightmare from red eyes had become a reality. Sleep in fear was the only thing I got at night. That spirit in black with red eyes was destroying my life. My life became a vicious cycle of fear and sleeplessness. The haunting by the spirit in black with red eyes increasingly invaded my life. I didn't dare to sleep alone anymore. I often slept in the same room as my mother, or slept on the sofa in the living room where there was light. But even with others nearby, I still felt as if someone was watching me in the darkness. The strange noises in the house continued, and they seemed to become clearer. The footsteps were no longer limited to my room. I heard footsteps walking in the hallway, going downstairs, walking around in the living room. Sometimes, I even heard faint giggling, which sounded very creepy, like a child's laughter, but full of evil. The horrifying nightmares about the haunted house and the spirit in black continued to torment me every night. I was so scared that I didn't dare to go to sleep. I tried to talk to my parents about what I was experiencing, about the strange noises in the house and the terrifying dreams. My parents were very worried about me. They believed I was overly stressed and scared. They tried to find ways to help me. They took me to see a doctor, took me to see a psychologist, but nothing helped. My problem wasn't psychological. My problem was supernatural. I knew that all of this originated from the haunted house on Elm Street. The spirit in black with red eyes had seen me, and it had clung to me. I tried to avoid walking past Elm Street at all costs. I took very long detours so I wouldn't have to see that house anymore. But the haunted house remained. It still sat on the deserted street, gloomy and terrifying, and the spirit in black with red eyes was still in there. Or perhaps, he was moving between that house and where I was. I felt as if there was an invisible thread connecting me to that house and to that spirit. No escape. I realized that I couldn't escape this haunting just by avoiding walking past the house. He had seen me. I had attracted his attention. And now, he was in my life. I felt as if I was trapped in a cage of fear, unable to get out. The haunted house remained, like a constant reminder of my nightmare. And the spirit in black with red eyes was somewhere nearby, perhaps even in my own house, waiting. My life is now an existence in fear. The spirit in black with red eyes has become a part of my life, a part that I cannot get rid of. The haunting continues, relentless. The strange noises in the house, the shadows flitting at the edge of my vision, and the horrifying nightmares, all are proof that he is still somewhere nearby, still watching me. I don't know what he wants. Why is he targeting me? Perhaps, The fact that I saw him attracted his attention to me. Perhaps he just wants to scare me. Or perhaps he has a more evil reason. I tried to find out more about the history of the haunted house on Elm Street. I searched for information online. In old newspaper articles, I found stories about mysterious deaths that happened there many years ago. About a family that died tragically in an unsolved murder case. Perhaps that black spirit is a member of that family. Or the one who committed the murder. That information only increased my fear. That house isn't just haunted. It carries a bloody history. I live in constant anxiety. Every time it gets dark, the fear rises. I am afraid of the darkness. Afraid of being alone. And most afraid of those red eyes. I know that I cannot escape him. He has clung to me. And perhaps he will never let me go. This haunting has left a deep scar on my mind. It has changed who I am. I am no longer the simple, cheerful girl I used to be. I have become anxious, withdrawn, and always live in fear. The haunted house on Elm Street is still there, like a beacon of evil in the darkness. I never walk past it anymore. But I know he is still in there. Or perhaps he is somewhere nearby, staring at my house from a distance. Red eyes will always watch me. The last thing I can say about this story is to be careful about what you see. Especially in haunted places. Sometimes, just by seeing something, you attract its attention, and that can change your life forever. My nightmare is real, and it's not over. That spirit in black with red eyes is still out there. And red eyes will always watch me. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, or stories based on accounts and unexplained mysteries, like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel to follow our latest videos. We will bring you more terrifying and haunting stories. Thank you for listening.